We call the commissioners meeting for August to order and all. We'd like to ask our good friend and our pastor at New Hope Baptist Church, Emmanuel Bailey, to open us with an invocation, and immediately following that, Commissioner Collins will lead us in the pledge.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the Board of Commissioners for honoring New Hope by asking them, and also for giving me the privilege. I may not live in Lincoln County no more, but Lincoln County is my heart. I'm going to say one other thing. I know every one of these gentlemen. I ain't going to say none of them's perfect. I know some better than others, but I ain't got a doubt that they got the best interest of Lincoln County at heart. One other thing I'll say before we pray. If you feel like you don't like the job they're doing, next go round and put a sign up and run. Take their place if you don't like the job they're doing. I live in Washington, Georgia. We complain about our city council all the time. Me and Stan just spoke about it. But nobody wants to fill those shoes. So if you think they're not doing a good job, Robbie, you can run. I might would vote for you, Robbie. I don't know. Let us pray, y'all. Dear Heavenly Father, first of all, we come to you tonight acknowledging who you are, Father. Our sovereign God. Father, I know no words to totally describe who you are, what you mean to us. Father, I lift up this county. I lift up this Board of Commissioners, Father. I ask that they put any differences they have aside, that they do what's best for this county, for the citizens of this county. Father, I ask that the citizens of this county daily pray for these men as they guide them, as they try to do what's best for Lincoln County. Father, you know a large part of my heart is in this county. And I lift these men up. I lift up those who are here tonight, who are concerned about what's going on with their county. Father, I lift up them and their families at this time with this virus, Father. I ask for a shield of protection around everyone that is here. Father, that you keep them and their families safe. Father, as always, I lift up our nation. Father, our nation's in a bad shape right now. But I lift it up to you. I lift up our leaders, Father. May you touch something in their hearts. Now, Father, I ask you to be with this meeting tonight. I pray that everything goes smoothly, that they accomplish good things here tonight, that you lead, guide, and direct them, Father. Father, I'm very honored that they still honor you in a meeting with prayer. Now, Father, be with this meeting. Lead, guide, direct each of them as they leave here. Give them safe travels as they go home, Father. Now, these things I ask in Christ's precious and holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it. All right. You should have had a little time to look over the minutes and all. And has anybody got any corrections or changes? If not, we need a motion to approve as presented.
So approved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Collins, need a second.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Henderson. Any more comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. On the agenda, item 5, we do need to do one change I'm aware of. On item 15, the PTO policy, we're going to table that until next. Is that right, Director Dawes? He didn't hear me. We're going to table that to the next meeting. And also, we'll take that off on have item 15. Any other changes? All right, we need a motion then to approve the agenda minus that one item.
So moved.
Commissioner Thankson made the motion. Need a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Collins, thank you, sir. So, all right, we go to the departmental reports and Director Broom.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's indeed an honor to be here tonight. I have submitted a written report. It's a little different. I warned you in June I was going to start to change my report and and add in some items I thought y'all might find useful, and I'm certainly open and welcome to any other data points that y'all might want to see. If you'll get them to me, I've heard your questions. I'll be glad to oblige in any way I can.
I personally like the new report. It sounds like it's a lot
Thank you.
better. I've got one, Director Bloom, when you say traffic transportation incident, what is that?
It's a classification of the type of call that we ran let me find where we're at. Yeah, that would be a car wreck or
Something like that, okay. Anybody else have any questions for Director Bloom?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, the Director, Casey, are you seeing a lot of, having to transport a lot of people for the virus?
We've only recently seen an uptick. One of the big challenges we're having now, yes, we are seeing a few more, but nothing like we've seen in the past. I was on a DPH call today, and we're seeing spikes in the data. One that hits my memory was July the 30th. There were 7,000 new positive tests in one day. That's one of the largest numbers that's ever come up in one day. We got an increase of 40% hospitalizations and a slight increase in mortality. Also, there's been an uptick in elementary and younger age. It's not a huge number, but based on the previous number, it's almost a 300% increase in positive cases in that age group. The other thing, one more thing, Mr. Larry, is that, or Commissioner Collins, excuse me, is that our hospitals, if you look at those reports, you see a lot of transports to the smaller hospitals, because we had a 6-hour wall time at at a hospital downtown during the third week of July, and we yesterday had one of over 2 hours. So the ERs emergency rooms and emergency departments are constantly inundated. Commissioner Collins, I apologize. Was there another question?
No, thank you. You got my answer.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Director Bloom. I think Director Glaze is here tonight. You've got some information there about the schedules and pictures being made, those kind of things, I think, for the rec department. So, all right, Finance Department, Director
Mr.
Dawes.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, ma'am. If I might.
Yes, sir.
But, you know, Chairman Walker's not here, but I've had a request from some parents that we get the Little League field in shape, just like we were getting ready to start a football, Little League season. Some parents have told me they want to start practicing and coaching some young boys who do not want to play soccer, they don't want to play basketball or football, they just want to play baseball, and request that we get the field in shape so they can start doing it. If we could pass that word along to the director, I would appreciate it.
All right, any more comments on that? All right, Director Dawes, Finance Board.
Chairman, Commissioners, you've got my printed report. I don't have anything to add to that particular report. I actually did start discussions this week with our auditor about preparing for our FY21 audit. Typically, we'll start on that in the September timeframe, and then the state has taken away all of the extensions from last year, so all of our reports are due by the end of the year. So that's what we're working on, is starting to work on our audit. And I have delivered to the chairman the consolidated budget report, and he and I will start working on that next week. And we do have some preliminary numbers from the Board of Tax Assessors. So we hope to be able to very soon give you guys a budget template to look at to start reviewing.
All right, this should be tied up for a while with the audit folks and all that. Anybody got any questions for Director Dawes? All right, thank you, sir. All right, Director Seymour.
Mr. Vice Chairman and members of the board, you have my written reports. Don't have anything to add to those unless you have some questions. One comment I do want to make, I failed to put into your packet the new residential dwelling permits that were issued to date, and I can give you those numbers. I'd be glad to email it to all of y'all tomorrow so you can see districts and all that stuff. But I can tell you that we, at the end of July, have issued 45 new single-family dwelling permits, which far exceeds last year's total of 38. So we're still seeing a big upswing in single-family dwelling permits issued in Lincoln County. So I will email that report to y'all tomorrow.
Is that all over the county, Robbie? Is that true?
It's all over the county, yes, sir.
No certain district?
No certain district. It's kind of hit and miss. It's a little everywhere.
There's 3, look like it's beating 4 in your...
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, anybody got any questions for Robbie on that part of it?
Wish you hadn't asked that question.
Anybody got any questions? All right, sir, go ahead to you. All right, we ready for going to the the public hearing time?
Yes, sir.
Now, all right. All right, I need a motion to go into public hearing at this time then, please.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Thomas, need a second?
I second.
All right, Commissioner Henderson, thank you, sir. All right, we're into the public hearing at this time, and I would like to, would you do speak and all that, you would say your name and your address for the record and all, and did you have some comments you want to make before we go?
First of all, let me present this to you. So the Planning Commission met on Monday, August the 9th, and the applicant was Steve Watkins for Verizon, map and parcel 54-120, which consists of 298.54 acres, currently zoned A3, which is lakefront agricultural. The special use request was to apply for a special use to construct a 255-foot self-supporting communication tower. The recommendation from the Planning Commission was approval by the board to the Board of Commissioners with the following condition. And the condition is that no other Verizon sites will be approved until this tower is constructed, equipped, and operational. That vote was a 3-to-1 vote. It was not unanimous, but it was a 3-to-1 vote in favor of recommendation. There's a couple of comments I'd like to make before you open the floor, Mr. Vice Chairman, about this rezoning request. I'm satisfied that all 4 of you gentlemen today or last night received an email from Mr. Gray with some concerns, and he notated what his concerns were, and that the code, that the application does not meet the code in certain criteria. And I want to touch on those a little bit real quick for you before we get started. So his number 1 objective was the tower is prohibited in residential zone districts, okay? This piece of property is zoned A3, okay? Under section 34-491, it spells out the district classes of Lincoln County. And under agricultural districts, it lists A1, A2, and A3. Under residential zone districts, it lists R1, R2, and R3. Now, it is true that all 6 of those zoning districts have a residential element to them. But when the code refers to residential districts, it is referring to this chart, which is R1, R2, and R3. When it refers to agricultural zone districts, it is referring to A1, A2, and A3 as spelled out in the ordinance. This piece of property is zoned A3, so it is an agricultural zone district and not a residential zone district. It also talks about that special uses are not allowed for communication towers in residential zone districts. Well, they are, and there's a whole section which is 34-65 for communication towers and antennas as special uses, and listed under D is agricultural and industrial districts. And so there's some criteria there that they have to meet to be able to put them as a special use in an agricultural zone district. So it does meet that portion of the code. The other, number 3 that he mentions in here is a certification of a will fall requirement, which is a certified statement from an engineer. We have had that letter since day 1 that says that if it does fail, it's going to fail within 30 of the height tower. And if you do the calculations, if it fails, it's going to fall at 83 feet, okay, which is still within the setbacks required for this piece of property. Front setback is 75 from the center line of the road. The tower is 122 feet off of the right-of-way, not the center of the road, 122 foot off of the boundary. So it still puts this tower inside of those setbacks if it falls. Side setback, the same thing. If it falls to the side, it's 97 feet from the boundary, which puts it 17 and a half foot still from the boundary if it falls, and the side setback is 10 foot. It meets those requirements. He also indicates that there's not a required certificate of zoning compliance. I can't issue a zoning compliance letter until it is approved, okay? When they make application for the rezoning, they are making application as well for a certification letter. Once this board approves the rezoning, at that time, I can proceed and issue a certificate of zoning letter, which I will do if this board approves it. The only thing that I found in his complaints or his concerns that he was correct in is the fence height. The plans call for a 7-foot tall fence. Our code requires an 8-foot tall fence. I have spoken with Verizon about this issue, and they will revise the plans prior to the permit being issued. So that will be taken care of. Other than that, this packet meets all the requirements.
So it meets all requirements besides that one thing, and they're agreeing to.
Correct. Yes.
To change that.
Yes.
All right, anything else?
No, sir, that's it. You're more than welcome to open the floor if you would like.
All
Mr.
right.
Vice Chair.
All right.
Director Seymour,
Yes, sir.
on this tower, on the location, the current location where it's being requested to be put at, was that moved from the original?
It was not, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I misspoke at last month's meeting. I actually read the footage upside down and didn't look at it close. It's 122 foot from the property line or right of way, which puts it, Double Ranches Road is 80 foot wide, so that puts it 162 foot from the center line of the road. If it falls within 30% of the tight tower, it still meets the 75-foot setback, which is required from the center line of the road. It was not moved. It was an error by me when I quoted the distance last month.
I thought I originally saw the zoning request closer to the intersection of that side of Miss.
No, sir, it has not moved.
Okay. Is it a possibility that they would entertain moving it back a little bit farther?
That question was asked in the planning and zoning meeting, and I would refer probably to Mr. Watkins or Mr. Cato, when they get ready to speak to answer that question. But that question was asked in the planning commission meeting, and my understanding is that because of the site and the elevation of the site, that they're not willing to move the site at this point in time. Now, I will tell you, I had a conversation with the chairman about this same issue just on Tuesday, and I certainly think that we need to take a look at our ordinance and make some adjustments as far as setbacks are concerned moving forward. There's not really a whole lot we can do at this point since the application was made prior, with the ordinance that's in place now, and it does meet those requirements. But I do think that it's something we need to take a look at very hard on setbacks and moving those setbacks further.
You had more questions? Anybody else?
Rectifying one of them.
All right. All right. Mr. Watkins, you want to come forward?
Thank you, Mr. Seymour. My name is Steve Watkins. I'm with ComSite, which is a contractor for Verizon Wireless. Address is 3060 Mercer University Drive, Suite 210 in Atlanta, Georgia. thank you for having us back, and we did, as Mr. Seymour pointed out, met with the Planning Commission on Monday. I wanted to introduce my colleague, gentleman by the name of Ivy Cadle. He is legal counsel for Verizon, and he's with Baker Donaldson, and if I could let him introduce himself.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Ivy Cadle. I represent Verizon Wireless, and in connection with this application. As you recall, I was at your planning session last week to answer questions, and the one question that I took back from that was whether or not we could get the letter renewed for whether or not this tower would be completed in this calendar year. I did, in fact, and I did, they have a copy of it. But that was the one thing that addressed me. I didn't hear about Mr. Seymour's otherwise exceptional presentation. So I did get that letter. It's dated August 9th, and should this tower be approved tonight, that letter, as you can see, reads that the proposed macro tower known as Dumble Branches, for which Verizon is seeking zoning approval, is scheduled to be constructed and on air in 2021, which was what I understood the commission had asked of us at that time. Which I think the biggest complaint I've heard about Verizon in this whole process when I've been involved in it is that this county wants cell phone service, and so the way to pave the road, to create the infrastructure, to give the cell phone service that everybody's complaining about not having, is to grant this application and to give Verizon the opportunity to install a significant cellular telecommunications service in this area. So that's the big takeaway for me is everybody complaining about not having cell service, but yet the idea that this tower would get denied because there is it's this circular thing that all this commission can do to get its citizens cellular service and to get them signal is to grant the application. And some of the protections for issues like the towers that don't have any service, they got a tower, they ain't got no equipment on it, have been, I understand, fixed through the code. And this county has a very good comprehensive telecommunications zoning ordinance. And the way you as commissioners have in fact protected your citizens is through deploying a very comprehensive and high quality zoning ordinance. And what Verizon has done is we've taken into consideration all the protections of the community that you have in place when we designed the Double Branches Tower. And as Director Seymour said, with one exception of the 8-foot fence, which we will absolutely fix, and I would urge you to make that a condition of your approval, is that we come back with a plan for an 8-foot fence. And so once we've done that, we meet all of the protections that the county commission has wisely put in place. Now, there may be some consideration of some other protection that y'all want to put in place in the future, but the question today is, do we meet the ordinance and the protections that are in place? And all the testimony has been that we do. And so I don't want to rehash all the details of this. I will get to the relocation issue, but I would urge that y'all grant it because we meet the ordinance, and this is the opportunity to bring broadband to your citizens, whether or not Verizon, we even got a letter saying we're going to build it. So, we've done diligence there.
Mr. Cadle, on behalf of the commission, Verizon made a lot of promises to us in the past. We talk about it now, I know, but we've been let down, and that's one reason we're a little.
Y'all laid this road at Courthouse. Right.
Sir?
Y'all laid the road that it's caused all this doubt. Because y'all had power approved before that you've done nothing on.
Well, if they aren't approved, they can't ever get built. So it's circular, I understand. One question was whether or not we could move it back. And my first response would be, as Director Seymour said, it meets the ordinance. So we have met the protections that are in place for the public as of this day, as of the setbacks and, making sure nothing falls where it shouldn't fall, et cetera. We've got the letter from the engineer about if it did collapse, how would it collapse. So we've met those as of today. In addition to going to the planning commission and coming to the county commission, submitting 400 pages of plans to Mr. Seymour, doing the radio frequency, all these thousands of things we got to do. The other thing we got to do is find a landowner who's willing to lease this to us. And so we've got to take into consideration, what the landowner wants, what are the costs to get to the utilities, to the site, because you got to, unbelievably, all our cell phones actually just talk to a tower that talks to a wire. So it's still a wired system. And so all of those factors have costs, and they all come into the interplay of whether or not we could do this site. And so we're presenting this site as it is, and at this time we're unable to relocate this site because it meets the code and the protections that you have put in place for your citizens.
I've got one question, Mr. Caleb.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure other commissioners may as well, but along with this deal, is part of it that the other two sites that's already been looked at and said they were the right sites, are they going to be completed by the end of next year?
They are on the build plan for 2021. So the letter that you've got that's dated August, the letter that you've got dated August 19, 2021 says, based on the Verizon strategic build plan, the proposed towers mentioned above, being Amity and Loco, are scheduled to be built in the year 2022.
Is that a promise, or is that a?
Mr. Vice Chairman, first of all, both of those other sites would have to come back for planning and zoning and back to you again because they will both have expired. One is already expired. I think the other one expires maybe in November. But they would both have to come back before y'all for approval if they move forward.
And plus, one of the stipulations from planning and zoning is that they finish this and it's working operational before we do anything else.
That is correct.
For future permits, right?
Now, I will say I would ask that you not pass that stipulation, because if we want to come back and start the zoning process on those two next month, you're going to keep us from doing that, so you just delay it on. I mean, that's another reason for delay.
I know you're an attorney, but I mean, like I said, we've been let down a few times. You kind of sound like you're threatening us in a way. And I don't agree with that. I think, I agree with the stipulation that we got. Is any other commissioners got questions, anything? Anybody else? All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Caleb, Mr. Watkins. All right, at this time we open up the floor to someone that may want to speak for or against. And Mr. Creighton, I know you want to speak, so be sure to state your name, your address, and you're limited to 5 minutes. So.
My name is Tony Creighton, and I live at 3710 Double Branches Road with my wife. And as the closest and most impacted by the proposed special use for telecommunications tower, which will be directly located in front of our property, I mean directly, you guys can go over there and look, it's just a couple of 100 feet. Using our First Amendment to the United States Constitution, we strongly oppose the zoning board and the Board of Commissioners granting the construction of the telecommunications tower at this site. Research and common sense make it clear that the proposed tower will have an extraordinary negative financial impact on our property value and also a visual blight being on the road for us and the citizens of Lincoln County that drive up and down Columbia Road, being right on the road like that. As we step outside our front porch, this will drastically alter the defining aesthetic characteristics of country living. This is a rural area and one of the reasons we moved out to the beautiful Lincoln County. And if it's constructed, it will forever alter its natural beauty to the Double Branches community and all that live there. So you guys know where the site is at and how close it is. And I know we've had some other issues with the towers and all. I'm not involved. I got involved with this one. At one time, because the commission meeting sign was down by Ms. Gasway's house, I called and asked, and I said, are these sites going to be, right there? And so I assumed that it was going to be back 1,900 feet. And then I got this packet the other day from the attorney, and I think we need to try to find someplace else. The more I talk, the more people say, well, they could put it here, or I would take it here, I would take it here. Look, I'm 5,500 feet or the same elevation that this site is. So I just ask you guys to vote against this site, and maybe we can push to find somewhere else to put it in Lincoln County. We have too much other land, too much interior land within the county, and I'm sure there's plenty that would take this, so we don't have to put it right up on double branches. And I know it's listed as, agricultural, whatever, but these protections are done to protect later on. So, I have a home site and a home, so I have two properties there. And so that property value is going to go down. It's so close. In this instance, it will. And the only way that I'll be able to prove that is after the fact, after it's built, and I can't sell my house later on because you sit on the front porch and you're literally looking at the base of that tower and you're looking up at it. So that's my opinion on that. You got any questions for me?
Anybody have a question for Mr. Creighton? Thank you, Tony.
I just think we got other places to put it.
All right, anybody else wish to speak? Mr. Counsel, you keeping time?
Yes, sir. My name's Greg Crown. I live at 1056 Feaster Lane. Me and Mr. Gray had reviewed documents and stuff relating to the cell phone tower. You addressed most of those issues. There was a couple things that I wanted to mention. The application acknowledges that the subsection agrees to provide the final tower design drawings as a part of the building permit application as per industry standard. The tower is ordered once the approved zoning approval has been granted by the governing jurisdictional authority, and the physical capacity and structural integrity is determined at this point. So we won't know until later on whether or not the tower is actually what we're getting. They're ordering it after the fact, after it's approved. I have read some other engineers' reports on their towers, yours, Mr. Fankerson. And on yours, it says, although we cannot guarantee exactly how a tower will fall, if it were to fail, the most likely mode of failure would be a buckling. So there's really no guarantee that a cell tower won't fall in its entirety. Verizon has had one fall before. There's been many cell phone towers fall in its entirety. With its proximity to the road, I think that, my personal opinion, there's enough property there to move it back and make it safe. I don't know as far as if the county could be held responsible under tort law if we approve this and then something does happen later on down the road, the county could be held liable for it in any way. Y'all had talked about how there had been permits approved before for Ferguson and Amity. Did them having those permits keep other cell phone providers from coming in? That's kind of a question because they were already given permits in these areas. So did that keep another provider from coming in? The Planning Commission wanted to deny it last month because they haven't done anything with the last two permits. So that kind of makes you wonder what's kind of going on. And as Mr. Creighton said, he's going to have a diminishment in the property and the value of the property up to 20%. So those need to be taken into consideration. We do need the tower. I agree, we need the tower, but it could be backed up and it being in a A3, which is supposed to be later on lakefront residential development. I think a stealth type tower does need to be taken into consideration since these are areas of future development. It's easier to go ahead and do it now than it would be later on go and make a stealth tower. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to speak? Austin?
I know this may be a first, but my name is Austin Dockery, 2265 Maxim Road. I live in the Double Branches community. And just coming from, I know a big concern is safety. We also have to take into consideration with our medical responders, our law enforcement, the general public, living down in there. I have no signal at my house, when I go to the lake, going down to church. That's a huge concern, especially for the community, because, a lot of people are getting away from house phones and other things now. So from a safety aspect, I think this is a very important thing to have. This would also probably affect everybody on the lake, drownings and other things. Someone on a boat, they have their phone, they can call out. Right now, you can't. Clyde's Crossing, that's a huge, you don't have no signal with Verizon at Clyde's Crossing, and we always have very tragic accidents out there. I believe that this tower would provide, adequate signal in that area so that, it's every second counts. So I was just going to bring up that point. I'm sure you all are familiar with that, but I just wanted to speak in favor for this tower to be built.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else? All right. Any comments by the commissioners before we come out of public? Need anything? Anybody? All right, I need a motion then to come out of the public hearing, don't I? At this time, or do you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
All right. We'll entertain a motion then to come out of the public hearing at this time. Commissioner Henderson, need a second?
Second.
All right, Commissioner Collins. All right. Did you still want to say something, Commissioner? You all right? All right. All right, we'll vote on this at this time then. Is that right, Mr. Seymour?
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks. As you know, the recommendation from Planning and Zoning Board was no other Verizon tower sites to be approved. This tower was constructed. So when you make the motion, you need to say if you want to include that, if you're trying to approve it, or if you deny it, let us know. So I need a motion to move forward with this agenda item.
As proposed from the zoning, from the board, previous board,
Thanks, on board.
provided that this tower is completed before any other applications are approved.
That's your motion.
That's
All right, can we have a second to that motion?
Explain to me the motion one more time.
It's as presented from Planning and Zoning that to approve it, but no other Verizon sites will be approved that this tower is constructed, equipped, and operational.
I'll second.
Second. Any more comments? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right. We move on to item 8, the Greater Park Hill Regional Library Agreement, Director Party.
Mr. Vice Chairman, Commissioners, this is just for the signing of our annual service agreement with Greater Parksville Regional Libraries to help fund our library and keep our library up and running and available to the citizens of Lincoln.
All right. This is a good deal, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
We agree. I think, how long have we been a member with them? Do you know?
I think about 7 years, maybe longer.
Right, but it's been real advantageous, I guess is the right word. It's been a real blessing for us. They provide a lot
Yes,
of
sir.
resources and all. So, does anybody, I guess we need a motion to approve this agreement again. This is back up. So do we have a motion to approve it or?
So moved.
Thank you.
Not second.
Commissioner Henderson, second. Any other comments or questions of Director Parton? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. This is our second, item 9 now is the second reading of the land development ordinance. Director Sebo, are you going to read that or you want?
Sir? No, I'll be glad to read it.
Second reading,
Mr.
Bill?
Vice Chairman, I'll be glad to read it. So this is the second reading of ordinance 34201, which is a ordinance change. This is in the land development code section, referring to number of lots versus improvement standards. And we ask that a section C be added to this ordinance. Right now you have A and B, and I'm going to read C in its entirety. Where a single lot or parcel of land has been divided into 4 parcels, no other division shall be allowed until 10 years has passed from the date of the last recorded plat filed in the Lincoln County Clerk of Superior Court's office, unless all required improvements indicated in section 34202 have been met. This is the second reading. We've had several discussions about it. It's been on the website since last month when we did the first reading. Have not had the first phone call concerning this ordinance change.
And this is to stop a workaround.
Yeah,
They have problems.
so just to be clear, what we're having is a problem with people taking property and splitting it into 3 times, and then one of those 3 comes split it again, and so you end up with 8 or 10 parcels, and no required improvements are being made, and so those people are working around the current ordinance.
All right, with the second reading, we get to vote on this now, I think to approve it or not, so we need a motion at this time whether to approve this ordinance change.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve this.
All right, Commissioner Collins makes a motion to approve as presented. I need a second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Tanksley, any more comments on this? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No opposition. All right. Moving on to what we attend.
Yes, sir. This is text change to section 18-9 and 18-47. And in both of these, this is the second reading as well. It has also been on the website for the last 30 days since last commissioners meeting. Have not gotten a single phone call about these 2 as well. And this is dealing with buildings and maintenance and unsafe buildings. And so the change that we would like to make in both of these ordinances is very, very short, and that we would ask that that all such buildings located in R1, R2, R3, and A3 zones are hereby declared illegal. So we're taking out zoning sections A1 and A2, which currently, as it stands, all zoning districts are affected by these 2 ordinances. And so we're going to take out A1 and A2, which comprises about 70% of the rural portion of Lincoln County.
Gotcha. All right. Need a motion, since this is the second reading of this item also. We need to vote on this item now. I need a motion then to approve this ordinance as presented. Change.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve this ordinance.
All right, Mr. Collins made the motion. Need a second?
I second.
Mr. Henderson makes the second. Any more comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All objections? No one? Motion carries. All right, thank you. Director Seymour, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Did that do both of the?
yeah, that did both the land development ordinance and the building ordinance, right? So we got both of them approved. All right, you also got the courthouse.
Yes,
I saw
sir.
that thing operating when I came in, that automatic lawnmower we got.
Yes.
But it didn't get all the way up to the sidewalks, is that?
No, but part of his contract, and I'll go into that, but part of his contract is to trim and do all of that stuff as well. So this is an item that we discussed at our planning commission session, and that is the lawn maintenance of the front yard of the courthouse. As you know, we have finished the laying of the sod and fixing the lights out front. It looks really good at night. If you hadn't seen it at night, you need to come by and look at it. So I asked Trinity to give us a couple of quotes because we didn't want to take responsibility if something happens to the grass within the first year. We asked him to handle the maintenance and care of the lawn for the first year. So I asked him to give us a couple of quotes, one being that they would cut, trim, fertilize, weed control for 12 months. And that price came up to, I believe it was $5,304 for the entire year. The second quote I asked him to provide us was for a auto mower, and also for him to clean and do your edging and that stuff, and still take care of the weed control and the fertilization for the next year. That price was separated into two, so the auto mower was $3,015, and then for him to do the edging and trimming and fertilization and weed control was $2,850. And so I asked tonight, my recommendation would be that we approve the auto mower and a contract with Trinity for the maintenance for the year of $2,850.
So we could do all that in one motion to
Yes,
approve
sir.
those two items?
Yes, sir.
I know we've tried it out, so you happy with the?
Yes, sir,
operation?
very happy.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir.
All right,
He's
so
done a
everybody,
great job.
so we making a motion to approve the $3,015 and also the $2,850, right?
That is correct, yes, sir.
Need a motion in that respect, please? Oh, a hard root to work with.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes,
move that we take these two quotes.
thank you, Mr. Collins. I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson, appreciate it. All right, any questions more about this or something? Y'all, anybody see it operating?
I just, not a question, but just a comment. I asked in the work session and found out, don't just pick it up and take it home with you. Because it sends a message to this mother plant and somebody will come to your door to get it. Which was a concern that what keeps me from walking away with it. One question, so I see it on the left side.
Yes, sir.
Does it cross the sidewalk by itself?
It does, yes, sir.
Oh, man.
It does.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Did you verify the warranty on that thing? How long?
On the mower? It's 3 years. 3 years. Yes, sir.
We'll rent that thing out on the weekend and make some money. Anybody else got any more?
This is just something that come to mind. I don't know, I can't remember what the regulations, and I assume that we don't have to do it, but we don't have to bid this.
Well, so we stayed with Trinity because they were the award winner for the sod. And so our concern is something's going to happen to the sod within the first year. So we wanted him to take care of that way. There's no finger pointing back and forth. And the answer to your question is no, the amounts are low enough to where you don't have to put it out for competitive bid.
Ms. Seymour, I've got one question. Like if a child, teenager or somebody walks up and picks that thing up while it's running, is it got
It will
safety?
stop.
I just say, I hope safety-wise, be
It will
okay.
stop. Matter of fact, if you walk up to it as it's coming to you, it'll stop and shut off.
Good, all right. Any other questions?
It's as good as Walmart, isn't it?
I'm telling you, yeah. All right, we need a motion then to approve these two amounts.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Thanks.
You have the motion, we just need a vote.
I
I
did.
thought we done this.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's,
That's okay.
when one proceeds this, I'll be hearing about that, I'm sure. So we ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, so let's see. Then the last thing I think for you, Director Seymour, is the Kubota.
Yes, sir. I would ask the commission to table this item until a later date. We are not prepared tonight to make a decision. We're still waiting on the insurance adjuster. I know that the thought process was that we would have to surplus this tractor and then, negotiate another tractor. But if the insurance company totals the tractor and gives us payout on it, then they'll actually obtain the tractor, so we won't have to surplus it. So I'd ask that we table this until a later date. We may have to have a call meeting to get it in the next couple of weeks. So we're actually waiting on the insurance company to get back with us at this point.
All right. Do we have to vote on table in that motion? Or
No, sir.
Okay, we are. All right. Thank you. All right. Appreciate it, Director Seymour. Director Dawes, Georgia Forestry Commission invoice.
Vice Chair and Commission, so we have our 2022 invoice from Georgia Forestry Commission. It's $8,158. It's the same amount as last year because this does create a contract between the county and the Georgia Forestry Commission. We need the board's approval to pay this invoice.
All right. Thank you, sir. I remember back in 2008 or something, we did away with this for a while, and we called it a little grief. But supposedly they wouldn't come help us fight fires, we'd have to pay them extra, I guess, if we
I wasn't here, but I remember.
Right, right. So we need a motion to approve the $8,158 to contract with Georgia Forestry Commission.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Henson. Need a second.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Any other comment or questions, anything? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right, then, Director Dawes, report web system.
Mr. Vice Chairman, Commissioners, I am asking for the board's approval to expend $592.80 from our American Rescue Plan funds for the renewal of the license fee and the WebEx service for the courtroom's WebEx system, which Madam Clerk put it in the judge's chamber when they had grand jury, so normally it sits right here. And that's what allows the court to have virtual hearings with prisoners and other things. It is an authorized expense under the ARP, but it does require board approval to spend those dollars.
All right. It was $592.80.
Yes, sir. That's for 12 months, and that would start the 15th.
All right. Need a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Mr. Henson, Commissioner Tanks, a second. So, any more questions of Director Dawes on that item? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, Director Dawes, let's see, we tabled 15, so we do the item, so we go to 16, which is the Board of Elections appointments. As you know, state law made us change the way we appoint members to the Board of Elections. We still have 5 members, but now the city appoints 1, the Board of Education appoints 1, and the commissioners appoint 3. Is that right? Madam Clerk, you want to read those 3 we appointed and the terms of office from us?
It's my understanding y'all are looking to appoint Brenda Leopard, James Allen, and Kathy Mason Smith.
All righty.
Yeah, James Allen would be to a 2-year term, so he would be a separate vote from the other 2.
And we need a separate vote for the other 2 to approve them. Can we vote on those 2 together that from the Board of Education? We got to do
That's
it
my
separate.
understanding. We'd have to ask Dan to be sure.
You can.
Dan, okay.
Yes, sir.
So we approving the 3 then that she called out, the county commissioners. Yes, sir.
List them again, please.
List them again. Do you want to call them out again?
Brenda Leopard for a 2-year term.
James Allen for a 2-year term, and then Brenda Leopard and Kathy Mason Smith for a 4-year term.
As my understanding, Mason Smith has some computer experience. We're hoping it'll help us with reports and the election results, reporting those election results.
Yes, sir.
Maybe a better way than having to read those little ribbons that come out, and it's so hard to see for me anyway.
Yes, sir.
That's a good question. Anybody else have a question? No? All right. All right, we hadn't made a motion, anything on this yet, have we? So we still need a motion. You got a question?
I'm gonna need to abstain from Brenda Leopard. Would it work?
I want to pull those 2 out. Why don't we pull 2 of those out? Alan and Mason Smith, what was her name? If I've called it right.
Kathy Mason Smith.
Yeah, let's vote on those 2 then, and then we'll do that one separate, and you can abstain. Is that all right?
We were gonna put Brenda Leopard and Kathy Mason Smith together because they were a 4-year term.
Yeah, you have to vote on them individually.
Oh, okay. Well, we just have to do it individually real quick. So, all right, it's going to be some motions to make. I should have this thing in front of me with those names and all that, so y'all may have to help me out. But we'll go with Ms. Mason Smith first then.
Okay.
Need a motion to approve her for a 4-year term.
Correct.
So moved.
Commissioner Henderson?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Tanks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, no objection to that. Ms. Brenda Leopard was a 4-year term as well, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we need a motion to approve her, and Commissioner Henson has to abstain.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by
I'll
Ms.
second.
Collins, second by Commissioner Tanksley. 1 abstention, I know. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries.
James Allen.
James Allen's a 2-year term, right? All
sir.
right, need a motion to approve James Allen then for a
So
2-year
moved.
term. Commissioner Tanksley makes a motion.
I second.
Second, Commissioner Henderson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we need to approve the 2 from the board, counting, 1 from the Board of Education and 1 from the
We
city.
don't do those.
We don't vote on them, okay. All right. Y'all have any more comments then? I think we covered everything.
One question, do we know who the school appointed?
The school appointed Jandy Matthews, I believe.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, Jandy Matthews.
Okay.
For the Board of Education.
a good question. Everybody's clear on all? Would they take office next meeting? I mean, immediately, right?
Immediately, yes. Sir.
Right, so, all right, sounds good. No other business, I accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Chris. Second, to Mr. Tanksley. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Thank you all for bearing with me, too.